Ava and I are heading over to Northfield. Tomorrow is Ava Lily's birthday, and I said, you know what, why don't you come to Ohio with me? We'll go and eat something nice, and then I'll take you shopping on Saturday. She's 12 now, so, birthday party's not a big deal. She's with her dad. Thought it'd be nice to spend some time looking at the horses over here and go to a mall and just have some, never usually have any father-daughter time, right? It's always family time. But just Ava and I, it's been a while since, we used to go to the movies all the time, and it's been a while since we went to the movies, a while since we did anything together other than just as a family. So I thought it'd be nice to, have a weekend, just myself and my daughter. So we're on our way over to Ohio. I wanted to get out of Ontario before the storm hit. It's supposed to be a ton of snow dumped on Ontario, but that is a ton of rain over here. For some reason, it's been much warmer. Most of the time, Cleveland and Ontario are similar. Very similar, but not right now at all. I drove the other day, plus 20 at the Meadows. Got back, qualified, plus 18 at Northfield. Raced first race as the sun was going down, plus 15. Got back to Ontario, minus 2. Quite a difference. So we're driving along, and I get up this morning. I get up early. I wanted to get going because I wanted to catch the track. When it's around 0 and minus 1, especially when we got a lot of rain and snow, Joe said the track's so good, but there's got to be some give. When it starts to warm up, it does get deep, and it got deep yesterday in a hurry. So I wanted to get on the track before it thawed a little bit. We got everybody trained, and man, I was so pumped that we got everybody done in time. Thought I was on a roll, so I said to Curtis, hey, can we video in Northfield tomorrow? I thought I was going to bring you this huge update. We're going to video tomorrow in Ohio. Curtis said, yeah, just let me check the stream. So he had the guy Steve, that does at the video department in Northfield, very handy guy, checked the stream, and everything looked good. And then I looked at the weather. All the snow we're getting in Ontario is rain over here, and they are going to get dumped on in Ohio. We're going to drive through the rain right now, which is better than snow. And it's supposed to stop tomorrow at 5, which isn't bad. But the wind is going to be just howling. And although the wind won't really affect the video, it will affect the training. We were probably going to go around 235 or 240, and that will likely turn into 245 with 50, 60 kilometer an hour winds. 25 is enough to keep the drone on the ground. Definitely 30. Twice that, it's not going to be a great training day to watch or be a part of tomorrow, I don't think. Maybe with all the wind, the track will dry up. I don't know. But we're going to get them trained. So it just wasn't a good day to do the video work. Maybe I will the middle part of next week. Try to get them both in. Curtis is back on Monday, so we'll definitely have videos for you next week, whether that be Tuesday and Wednesday or Friday and Saturday. We'll figure that out along the way. Now, I wanted to bring everybody the updates, and I said, I want to talk about the horses that raced last night, the good, the bad, the ugly. A couple of other things to talk about also. I want to talk where we're at with the broodmares in Kings County. We had Good As Him's foot re-x-rayed. I wanted to talk about that. No Free Lunches leg was looked at again. Wanted to talk about that. Stay Close As I. Where are we at with that? So I actually did have quite a few updates. And then I looked down and said, I should talk about all the 3-year-olds and how close they are. There's a lot. There's a lot to talk about. So I wanted to get right to it before we lost all the sun. The light, not the sun. Yesterday we raced 4 horses. Walk on the Moon, very, very happy with the win from him. I caught some flack from a couple of clients now, one for sure, another one on social media apparently, that they're not happy that we were selling Walk on the Moon, especially after he raced so tremendous. Now, my take on Walk on the Moon is simple, and I want to put it all out there, not in an angry way. I get that people fall in love with the horses. I do. That's why L.D. Patrick stayed as long as he did. That was unfair, but I just thought for a horse that tried so hard last year that, I should give him a wide berth. And it was quite a wide berth. But even that came to an end. We sold Elvis Patrick. We sold Nacho Martini the other day. As we head into spring, as we start to get closer to the babies qualifying and the 3-year-olds racing, all the horses that aren't going to do are going to go. And there's going to be people that get upset with that. Over the last couple of years, I fielded emails from people saying, This is not own a little, love it a lot anymore. You guys just get rid of them when they can't do, and I absolutely am going to continue to move horses that are not going to be effective for the stable. I know in your heart you believe, some of the people, you believe that, just race them. It's fine if they don't do any good. That actually does us all a disservice in the long run. It's hard for the trainers. It's hard for your partners. It's hard for me. We're trying to build a brand where, we have the horses to win races. And if our horses get themselves in a position where they can't, whether they're in a funk, or they're just not good enough, or they've saturated their classes, whether that be wins or money, then yes, we have to look at moving those horses. Of course, like Walk on the Moon could probably race in the meadows, bouncing around in the middle classes, I suppose. I have no interest in racing horses up and down the classes. Giving away 3 starts so that we can race good for 2. What you're saying is 60% of your starts in a year are wasted. And they would be. Walk on the Moon's a nice horse. Winning 55 yesterday, Sean Johnson did a wonderful job driving him. And he finally passed some horses. And looked good doing it. But for us, for me especially, he's been a squander. Somebody said, here's a horse that finally got a good trip and he capitalized. I get you like him, but I don't think I've ever seen a horse squander more perfect trips than Walk on the Moon. Maybe he is just getting better. Maybe he just needed that win. I'm not going to roll the dice anymore with him. And if people are upset with that, I get it. I'm not begrudging you because you want to keep Walk on the Moon if you've had him since day one. I'm not begrudging anybody because you think it's a business decision and not an honest, to goodness, intelligent decision. I get that, but I think I will make the case, right? There's lots of classes and lots of tracks you can race at. We've been to Kentucky with him. We've been to Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York with him, Ontario. He's been in 5 jurisdictions, minimum. Probably something else. He raced in Plainridge once, 6 jurisdictions. He's a decent horse, but he could be better, right? And really, that's what it boils down to. Is I told you guys a story the other day about how I like HP Maestro because I know what I get. Rolling behind the gate, you know what you get. I don't know if he's putting out 100%, but he does it the same every single time, and that's all I can ask for. Whereas Walk on the Moon, you don't know what you're going to get sometimes. Yes, you're right. He didn't get along in Miami Valley or Dayton as well as we hoped. I get that. At the end of the meet in Oak Grove, he didn't get along as well as we hoped. You're right. But that's racing. He's got 8 or 9 wins now. There are spots for Walk on the Moon, but at the end of the day, I would rather focus on our 3-year-olds coming back and focus on our other horses that we should and could be able to enter in where they can do good every week. Not just this week or last week. And I get it. I'm certainly not trying to say you're wrong and I'm right, but this is the direction we're going to head in. So for our clients that are upset, to each his own. I appreciate all you've done. I appreciate the participation you've had, and if this means that you no longer want to be clients in the stable, then hopefully you're somebody's clients. Hopefully you find a trainer and an operation that you love that does exactly what you want, and that's all we can hope for. If nothing else, I hope that the stable is a good entry point for people with all thoughts and all wants and desires and needs in this industry. But when it comes to the model that we have and the direction we're heading in, I think I've been pretty clear with everybody. And of that, no one should really begrudge me for. So, Walk on the Moon is in the preferred sale on Monday. He will be sold on Monday, I fully suspect. Everybody says, do we have a reserve? I don't think we're going to need a reserve. I think the reserve that we would have on him will be met. I think that he, given the fact that there's not a lot of real quality horses for sale out there right now, I believe there will be plenty of people interested in Walk on the Moon. And your answer is, why aren't we? Well, we have other horses to fit those classes too, right? We already have horses that we have for those classes that I want to see race. Walk on the Moon doesn't want to run into Yo Mister on the starting gate someday. I hope, anyway. And those are the types of horses we have coming up. Our 3-year-olds are coming back now also. I'm going to talk about them. I just felt like Walk on the Moon, for what he is, what he represents, and what he could represent for us, I think he's worth more on the market right now to us than he is in our barn. And that's all it boils down to. I think everybody that sells a horse thinks the same way. There's nothing wrong with him. Horse is sound. He looks good. Stacy isn't looking great. I just think it's time to move. And that's really what it boils down to, and nothing more. So, to the people upset, I apologize. Not for moving them. I apologize because you feel that this isn't the direction to go in. But I am responsible for everybody and every horse in the stable, and I believe that this is the right decision. So, what else do we have? We had Dustin Hanover last night. Never really got a chance to race. And usually you can break down a race and say, here's where he went off the rails. Here's where the driver made a mistake. I don't think James did anything wrong last night. I made fun of him a little bit today, but there's nothing he could do. You know, there was a horse on the outside of him from the word go, and he never got a chance to race. Now, Dustin Hanover will be heading to Pennsylvania for the Non-Winners of 2 Series next week. I think that's a great spot for him. Well, one thing's for certain, he'll be coming in razor sharp. That's for sure. And the one thing that's a good takeaway from last night also is anytime he's hungry on the track, he's hungry in the barn. And he ate all his supper when he got home last night, ate all his breakfast, ate all his lunch. So if nothing else, I guess it was a small investment into his appetite because he certainly was hungry after he raced. I would love to see the horse race last night, but just never an opportunity to do it. So he'll show up at the Meadows next week, I believe, in the Non-Winners 2. So for my partners on Dustin Hanover, he'll be heading back to Tim Twaddle's barn. As I said to Tim last night, totally different horse than you remember. Just make sure his appetite is on point. So Dustin Hanover heading back to the Meadows next week. Atlas Hanover, man, an absolute horrid trip last night. It's tough sometimes to, it's easy just to critique the driver and say, oh, he drove terrible. But the gentleman that drove the horse last night doesn't know Atlas Hanover. It wasn't Tim Tetrick. Got away and ended up in a first over grind, a middle half, 54 and a piece, a mile and 49, and it just chewed him up and spit him out. So I'd sent a message to Jimmy, and I said, almost get to that point, Jimmy. We're probably going to have to turn this horse out for a few weeks. I'm getting to the point where I think I'm leaning towards maybe, as Oak Grove opens up, maybe rest this guy for 2 or 3 weeks, try to freshen him up a little bit, and take him down to Kentucky. I know that last year, and that doesn't mean that it will be this year, but last year, it was a little bit soft at Oak Grove. Horses were great. I spoke to the race secretary the other day. I have no idea what's waiting for Oak Grove this year, but I know the purses will be good, and I think that a horse like Atlas Hanover might do some damage down there. I know we had paid him into the New Holland Series, and I know that I had an email from Pete today, a client asking if we're still going to do that. It's pretty hard for me to bring him back to race him against open horses when he get mauled in the 17,000 class in Dover. And I know 49 and 4, 49 and whatever I'm at on a 5/8 is plenty. The speed means nothing. It's all about your competition. There's some good horses, but certainly not New Holland type horses racing in that series. So, quite frankly, Jimmy called me today and said, listen, I think that he may have flipped his palate. We had it injected today, which is good. That's the why. How? I think we race him once more and reevaluate. When I look at all our prospects, really the only thing waiting for him is the field for a few weeks. If Jimmy thinks that it was circumstances that caused him to race that bad, that's fine. I mean, from the outside looking in, it certainly looks like a rest is maybe needed soon. But I'm more apt to give Jimmy the rope also, the room, not the rope, I guess, the room and the respect to say, okay, if you believe, we'll race him once more and then decide after that, so be it. That's exactly what we're going to do. So Atlas Hanover, he will race next week at Dover. And that brought us to Blue Tesla. She was terrible yesterday. I just really struggle with this filly tying up. And Mark Beckwith had called me and said, listen, there's a climbing series down here in Saratoga. Plus that Tesla mare fits the numbers of 3, but not more than 7 condition climber. It is terribly cheap here right now. Can she get around a half? I said, she went at 56 at Northfield. The problem I have, Mark, is she's tying up. I know the shipping around probably doesn't help, but I can't keep giving excuses to her either. He said, well, Patrick DePrana tied up a little bit when he came down here. Usually what we do is take them home, turn them out in the field all night, let them relax, gets a payout there, just let them relax. They're much less likely to tie up. So I don't know what her AST level was. We didn't take it today. I'll leave that up to them. But she is going to Saratoga. So for my partners, a bit of a surprise because I didn't send this to you before now. I'm driving, so I can if I wanted to. But Blue Tesla is heading to Saratoga. She will race in the claiming series down there, and if she can't do in the claiming series, she can race in the condition claimer. If she can't do in there, well, she will be sold. So Blue Tesla also, and this will be all of our horses. Every single one of our horses we will evaluate and reevaluate through the months of March and April, and the horses that are not going to be effective are going to be leaving the stable. That goes for Walk the Moon. That goes for everybody underneath, for every type of reason. They will be evaluated and reevaluated. So Blue Tesla on her way to Saratoga. Talking about Kingston County. Rested up, feeling good, resting out at Stacy and Brent's farm, getting ready to collect semen from him and start breeding the mares this coming week, and then he'll go back into training, hopefully. I suspect right away. Nice rest for this guy, man. He had such a great year for us last year. I can't wait to see what he does this summer, spring and summer, I guess, and fall for us. He's paid into a number of big events, as he should be, so it looks like money. We'll talk about him in a minute. Locatelli also qualified and racing on Monday. We'll talk about him also. Not today. We'll talk about the horses that are in to qualify, White Tiger and Beagle 10 Locatelli. We talked about them. You've been updated. You know when they're qualifying. We'll talk about them after the qualifier. But horses like Good As Him, we had his foot x-rayed, healing very nicely, healing from the joint down. So starting to fill in nicely. He's at the 2-month mark now. I asked Stacy to talk to her vet and ask the vet what he thought. For me, I would just start swimming him right now. Swimming him and very light walking work at the 3-month mark. But every horse is different, so I'm curious to see what Stacy and Brett's vet will say about Good As Him. But the good news is, everything we wanted to see. I don't want to be too optimistic. He'll recover. I don't want to be too optimistic and get ahead of my skis here, so to speak. But everything we wanted to see at the 2-month mark, we see and more from Good As Him's x-ray. So that's good news. No free lunch, ultrasounding great this week. That spot that was found on that, I think it was a left arm, it's healing in nicely. The vet said another couple of weeks of jogging, he should be able to move forward. I'll leave that up to Harry. He's done a great job with this horse. And then stay close. Again, I told you we'd start training today. We did not. Dominic wanted to start training middle part of next week, so I suspect Tuesday or Wednesday we'll get his first training trip in. By the time we get that first training trip in, after the surgeon has looked at him, I think it's not a surgeon, an optometrist. I assume a horse optometrist, a optometrist. Stay close. We'll begin training him. It won't take long after that. He's been walking and jogging on the wheel. There won't be much in the way of training before we get him into school. Just a couple of training, maybe 2-3 training sessions, and that's it. Now we'll get to the rest of the horses. I did want to talk about, and we had lots of time to talk about this. I had a great conversation with the Hamiltonian Society, sent an email off to the USDA, talking about the staking. If there's a way to alleviate, I had a great dialogue last night with Marco and a number of other clients about floating the idea of staking the horses around sale time. When we buy the horses, if there was a way, it made sense to me. If I'm going to the sale to spend $32,000, $40,000 on a horse, and we buy the horse for $30,000, now would be the time to say, okay, we're going to stake that horse. Now, when we insure that horse, because I do plan on insuring a few more horses next year, when we insure that horse, those stake payments would be incorporated into the price of the horse. It only makes sense, I believe. I don't think I'm talking in a school, so to speak, when I say that. And there were some people that disagreed and said, no, I'd rather wait until the spring. I can tell you, I know very little more in February than I do in November what the horse looks like. Yes, there was a few horses we got rid of, but at the same token, a lot more that we did not. It just made more sense to me. I guess as a group, we can just wait and stake them in February, March, and April. Really, the biggest person it affects is me. The stress of getting all that money in, getting all those payments in, and making sure that we're on time for our payments it's taxing. I would like to breeze through February, March, April, and May and not have stress and focus on the horses. And the dialogue is open. I understand everybody's position. Marco, I understand your position. And your points were well taken and understood, as I hope mine were. So, listen, we don't have to deal with this for a long time. We're in it now, so we don't have to deal with it for a long time, but it is something I do hope the Hamiltonian Society, what I had pitched to them was simple, and everybody would have to come on board. Rules would have to be changed. But what I pitched them was very simple. Give people a reason to stake. 10% off if you stake the horses with this type of package, which, as I categorized into the Breeders' Crown, and a number of the stakes that we pay our horses into. I just thought it made more sense. If we as a group thought that we saved money purchasing a horse, investing in those stakes on that particular day, if there was an incentive to do so, which made the most sense to me. It's how I did it in Australia, and I rather liked it. And that's why I said to John when we bought Girl from Oz, the gentleman came over with a tablet. Said, "Are you Mr. McDonald?" Yes, sir. How would you like to stake your horse, Girl from Oz? I said, "Excuse me." He said, "How would you like to stake her?" I said, "No idea what you're talking about." And then Daniel Cordino was the other. Anthony said, "We stake our horses on sale day here." Are you kidding me? My first thought was, that's ridiculous. My second thought was, that's a genius. It's fantastic. And I said to him, how much to pay her into all the major stake races? I forget what that number was. He said, absolutely. Done that day. No fuss, no muss. And at that point it becomes a cost of doing business. And I'm sure there'll be great arguments. Listen, just because in my mind it seems wise, but I'm not looking at it from all angles, and I'm sure as Marco sent me his angle on it, and a number of other people will, I believe somewhere in that ether, somewhere in that mix, we will find common ground, I hope. So I appreciate also that you guys, two horses now, they were on the staking list, but they were omitted from they were on the staking payroll, so to speak, but they were omitted from the list. Full Heart and Sweeney. Thank you for the people that had messaged me. Quite a few people caught that, and I appreciate it. Because, these people, Jim and Jim is human, just like we are, right? And mistakes can be made easily, and that is a mistake you don't want to make. So thank you all, although it was rectified quite quickly, and it was simply an error on Joanne's staking side, I believe. It was rectified quickly, and it wasn't a big deal at all. Chris and Jim had it fixed immediately, and it wasn't a big deal. But you know what? It could have been a big deal. So thank you all for the email on that. I appreciate it. Now I want to talk about where our horse is at, what they're doing. Stormer Jacati, obviously, I just went through a list of horses. Stormer Jacati, the race was canceled. So what they did was, because the first leg of that division, the first division of that leg, had already been finished, what they're going to do is next week hold Stormer Jacati's leg and division, and then go with leg 2 the week after. Seems fair. The horses that already finished their division, they will race in an overnight, or skip a week, I suppose, is their option. But our race will be held next week. Leg 1, Division 2 will be held next week. I guess there's a lot of lightning and thunder in the area, and safety being what it is, they decided to cancel the races. So be it. We'll race Stormer Jacati next week. I know I talked to Stacy today. She said that Brett and her were going to train him tomorrow, a stiff mile. They'll be back in Wednesday, which I think will bode really, really well for him anyway. Then we'll get to a number of the other horses. Austral Hanover trained great. Austral Hanover doesn't really need to be ready till May. Anytime too far away from May, and we don't have a real class to race him in. He's got like 3-4 wins, 60-something thousand made this year, or last year. Pretty salty bunch waiting for Austral Hanover, so we'll take our time with him and have him ready sometime first to middle part of April. Race for Landing trained great today. I made a couple of breaks on Jimmy. We didn't have the hobbles on him, just going easy with him. I went out and trained him at 220 active, so for all intents and purposes, he went 2 trips today. A mile with Crantini and James's horse. We'll talk about him in a minute. And then he pulled him up, and I went right back around and went a mile with him at 220. I thought he trained good the mile. Could he use the hobbles? Yes. Not in any hurry to get them on him just yet. I'm happy, just as an open bridle on no head check, so I'm happy that he's focused enough to do his work. He's not looking to get out. He understands what he's out there to do. That mental maturity is what we were looking for, and he does look good when he's trotting too. So very happy with the way Brace for Landing has looked training back. Carter Michael Dio, I watched train today. Dominic went with him. He's maybe a week, although he was a week ahead of Crantini, he's now a week behind Crantini training and Brace for Landing. There's lots of time. The first scheduled race for Carter Michael Dio, I believe, is called the Bunker Hill in Massachusetts at Plain Ridge. It starts just before the races in New Jersey and just before the races in Pennsylvania, I believe. So that's his first scheduled stake race. No rush with that guy. I believe that's in May also. Although the non-winners in 3 is available for him in Ontario, so if we get him ready a little earlier, there's no problem there. Coupe de Ville, Jason said, is being a little bit of a brat going out the door. She's acting up. I said, I'll jog her tomorrow, move her to the middle shed row, where she walks straight out, rather than Jason's shed row now, which is over in behind Amy Holler, where you have to go out that side door. Straight shot out the big door. I'll go with her tomorrow, and we'll get her straightened away. Too sweet about walking out the door and behaving. He said she trained very, very good today, though. So we are going to train some horses tomorrow, and we will have some of these 3-year-olds. Maybe what we'll do is try and bring you all the 3-year-olds in set situations next week when we train the babies. Do a little bonus coverage for you. But for now, Austral Hanover's been in 2:18, a mile and a half. Carter Michael Dio's been around 25, I think. Brace for Landing trained in 2:20 today. Crantini trained in 2:21 or 2:22. Him and James's colt. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. The colt that raced against Nothing But a Dreamer last year. Talk about Dreamer in a minute. Coupe de Ville, a mile and a half, but she's been around 2:25 speed. She's still a ways away. There's a maiden trotting series coming up in April, which will suit a lot of these Ohio horses very, very well. Coupe de Ville, not one of the 2 Ohio breds, so that means that the other filly will fit in there also. Smoking Hot Irish Girl, Full Heart, will also fit in there, so a lot of horses there. As I said, Crantini training very, very good. His heels are a little scratchy up front. His feet were a little warm today, but he trained very well. He made a break in the first turn, but we were just catching the mud, start of the mud, and it was flying up everywhere, and he didn't come unglued, but he did get a little frustrated. I just moved him over the 2-wide path and trained with James. He trained very, very good. Cunning Connie's been in 17. Now, Dominic didn't want to train her today. He wanted to train her tomorrow or the first of the week, and I told him, Dominic always leans towards that, we'll just go easy. And I told him, I said, I will train the go easy out of you. These horses are to train twice a week. These are athletic animals. These are athletes. And they need to be trained because they're going to race against other athletes, and we're not training them we're not racing them in shape. When they go to the track, I want them ready to go. And if they're not going to be able to do the work, and they're not going to be able to succeed in 2023, then we will look at moving them. And that is that. So Cunning Connie has been in 17. He said she's been training very, very good, and she does look good on the track. So I'm happy with what I've seen from her. Cutie Cumber has looked awesome. I can't wait to train her tomorrow. Staked her a little lighter. Didn't pay her into the Breeders' Crown or anything, but paid her into all in New York. New York's a lot like Ohio. If you plan on going to the Sire Stakes, there's not a lot of room for a ton of other stuff. The Empire Breeders, we paid her into. But Cutie Cumber, very well-bred filly, and regardless of how she does in 2023, there are going to be a number of suitors for her heading into the fall. It's a broodmare. What do we got here? So we also have the 3 2-year-olds I'm going to turn out this week. They're not training all next week. Flash Fly, Insider Trading, and Drebin. Just want to see about 50 pounds put on them if we could. Let them relax. Drebin had a quarter crack that was bothering him a little bit from hitting it. So I'd like to give him a week and let that cool down and put that weight back on him. Flash Fly, we had a fluoroscope yesterday. Nothing wrong with her. Clean bill of health. Still want her to get her legs to cool down a little bit. She had a little rash. Get her out in the field in the snow while we still have it. Let her relax. Same thing with Insider Trading. Those horses are ahead. And every year in Tamiko, we missed 1-2 weeks with some horses. We missed no days for the most part this year, so no problem at all. Next week, just very light jogging and mostly field work for all 3 of those horses. Full Heart, probably going to put her in the race bike tomorrow if I can. By mid-morning, and the sun's supposed to come out. It's still supposed to be windy, but I am going to train her in the race bike. She's still hard on herself. She's still a little hot, and she's going to have to get it right because she is on a very, very short leash. Gandalf the Black has been awesome. I've been told he's been awesome. He's going to qualify our school on Monday. Him and Horn Player are in school on Monday. High Enterprise. She trained good the other day. I'm not going to get too high on her. She's on the short leash list also. But she did train good the other day and looked very, very good. So we'll see how she trains tomorrow. How the hell is a little hot? They said you made a little noise jogging yesterday and today. So I told them, I said, all right, fine, we'll get the throat spray, which is light cortisone. Can't use it close to the races, but he's not getting there yet. Put the throat spray, have the vet use it, just leave it in front of his stall, make sure it doesn't go around any other horses. Throat spray for him, maybe some pool work, maybe some walker, and then I'll go train him a mile at 2:30 next week and see how he behaves. He's a little hot. He's always hard on himself. He always has been. So it's very important that we counter that, right? Don't play into his hand. Don't let him get too hot. Don't let him make noise. Don't let him run away. We're trying to manage his knee issues. He's been sound as a door and has looked great. Don't play to his weaknesses. If he's going to make a little bit of noise, fine. Throat spray. Let him relax. If he's going to be hot for a week, then TQ him for a week, and that's what we'll do. But how the hell? Probably going to pool and walker for the next 3-4 days, and maybe next Tuesday I'll train him a mile at 2:30, 2:35, and see how he trains. As I said, a Warren Player is going to school on Monday. She's been very good. JK Victory. I talked to Ron Burke. Could have been near the top of the list today. Talked to Ron Burke the other day. He couldn't take him, but I did discuss the horse quite a bit with him. He knows him as good or better than anybody. Told me what he thought he should get around Mohawk. We ended up putting the flip-flops on him and going that route. Wasn't my first choice, but with Ronnie not able to take this horse, and I don't want to just send the horse to Megan and say, hey, here you go. If we send the horse to Megan, it's going to be all right. Not getting around here the way we wanted. We tried a few things. It's not working. Let's get him to the Meadowlands. Fine. Ronnie can't take him here. Megan, you take the horse. I'm happy to do that. But I don't want to kick that can down the road just because I can. It's not fair to Megan. It's not fair to us. It's not fair to the horse. So he's going to school on Monday. I will have an update for you from Monday's schoolers. Kings County, as I said, breeding the dummy this week. And then we're probably going to inseminate those mares. Hopefully the mares that don't have foals in them. The ones that are ready to be bred. Galarian is being bred to International Money. That semen will be arriving next week, hopefully. And then the other mares that are open and ready to go, they're going to be bred next week also. In a perfect world, they would all come into heat around the same time. It's not a perfect world. So we need a 48-hour window to collect the semen and get it to Jacob at Schaefer Farms. Hopefully they can manage that. I don't know near enough about it. So I said, Jacob, it is incredibly important that we get these mares in foal. I cannot have mare and mares, and I do not want to have late May, June foals, so we need to do this right the first time. So hopefully we will. Landing pad, landing strip. Landing pad is about a week or two behind Gandalf and Horn Player. It's getting closer. I'm going to give this guy enough room also. He needs to show us more. I like the horse very much, but he needs to show us more. We'll see if he can. Landing strip the opposite. He's showing lots already. Training down good. I haven't gone with him, but Jason said he has looked very, very good. So we'll see how he continues to train down. He's not training tomorrow. He trained today in Ohio. Jason said he trained very good. Leaps and Bounds will train tomorrow. She's probably ready to go a mile and 2:12. Might go 2 trips with her. Maybe just go a mile and a half, 2:13, 2:14 speed. We'll see how that plays out tomorrow, but she's getting close. Looks like money. Yes, Mother Nature put him in the field. He's going to go to the field now for a few weeks. I think we'll bring J.K. Mickey Mantle back in. I got to ask Kirby to do that tomorrow. Bring J.K. Mickey Mantle in. Turnout looks like money. We will do that tomorrow. He's going to have 3 weeks off and bring him back in. Merchant Man is training good. Harry said he'd been in 15, a little more than I thought he was actually. And he went from being in 25 to being good, but we got to work with him, to being 15. He trained really good, Anthony. I was happy to hear that. So I suspect he'll train him again tomorrow. I didn't see Harry on the track with him today. That doesn't mean I might have been out different times, but I believe he's probably on schedule to train tomorrow. Mo Power Baby come back with 219, 220 speed at 1.5 miles with her tomorrow. She's getting closer and looks real good. More Than You Know is qualifying Monday. Him and World for Two. I saw More Than You Know train free-legged today. He looked good. And World for Two is slated to train tomorrow. Those horses will qualify on Monday. Nothing But a Dreamer was training today. He looks very good too. I almost said it. I almost said super impressed. Very happy with the way our 3-year-olds are coming back, and can't wait to see the sophomores rolling behind the gate over the next month. Red Overbach will qualify, I believe, next week. I know Dominic was giving me the, can I have more time? Can I have more time? Not really. He wasn't off that long, and I'll give him a little room, but not a ton. No, he's not schooling next week. He'll be qualifying next week, and if he needs a second qualifier, we'll give it to him. He will qualify next Friday. I believe it's Fridays. Renegade Gypsy, Resolute Bay, both getting closer. Somebody said, well, Anthony, you're going to miss the New Holland with them. We paid them into them. I only paid them into the New Holland because I wanted to make sure we had a place to race if the classes weren't filling. They are getting closer, but they have not been schooled yet. They have not gone on the race bike yet. I only went on the race bike with Yuri the other day. We'll talk about him with Mario in a minute. But those two horses have not schooled yet and have not been to the race bike and may miss the entire series. I don't know yet. Both look good, though. They just haven't been super fast yet. Citra is getting closer, too. Harry said he's going to train him at 15 tomorrow. So he's getting back into the swing of things. Sir Strong, poor bugger, really the only horse on the injured list right now. You know, we talk about not good as him is too, yeah. But No Free Lunch and Stay Closer, getting back going and getting closer. Whereas Sir Strong jumped on his foot, made a mess of his foot. It's a guy I'm going to be watching very closely over the next couple of months. I need to see, one, him not jump on his foot, and two, look better. Still rocky in the turns. I didn't see a whole lot of improvement in his gait from last year, which is upsetting. His attitude's great. His work ethic's good. But we got to get that foot healed up. Sister Solange qualified. She's probably not going to race for 14 days. Megan said, I'm probably going to need a little time to get some meat on her. I said, please do, if you don't mind. I apologize. She is skinny. Qualifier was great. One racer where she could win, and two, tell me what you think. So she's going to be arriving there this evening in New York. I know a lot of people concerned that she's racing at Yonkers. There's no absolute confirmation we're putting her in Yonkers yet. And if the list of people is just, people that have been in from day one and just don't have licenses, then I can ask Megan maybe to go to the Poconos. But my personal feeling is race her where she can win. And that's where I hope it is. And if that's Yonkers, I guess so be it. It doesn't have to be. If it's similar to the Poconos, then by all means go to the Poconos. But we'll see how that plays out over the next 14 days. All right? Man, this is a long list, eh? Ava made this list, by the way. Did a great job. Smoking Hot Irish Girl looks good. She's not quite ready to go fast yet. We're aiming for maybe the Hackett with her, I believe, is a plan. Or that Non-Winners of 2. Non-Winners of 1 Ohio bred, Non-Winners of 2 series at Northfield. That's a possibility also. Spitfire Overseas looks amazing on the track. This guy, again, the Bunker Hill is where he'll start. But he could start in the Non-Winners of 3. I think he only had the win for James and the win for me. If I'm not mistaken, I think he still fits Non-Winners of 3. So we'll see how that plays out when he gets ready. He looks very good. Swinging Senorita looks good also. The Hackett is where Jason said she'll be ready to go. So I believe that's what we ever made into first. Tactical Mounds look great. The maiden series at Northfield would be awesome if she gets around that track. She would be very good for that field. I love this filly, and I can't wait to see her train down. But she's just around the 230 speed. She's not there yet. Tailgate Buzz is getting closer. He'll probably go 1.5 miles around 2:15-ish tomorrow. Now factor in the wind and the mud. It was a nice day around 2:15. We'll see how that plays out tomorrow. Warwi Yuri, I thought was incredible. I told you guys I got dumped out and landed. Felt stupid, but didn't have any bruises. Went back out with Warwi. It wasn't his fault. It was my fault. Went back out with Warwi Yuri in the race bike, and I have never seen him look this good. 2.9 last half and 1.1. Another stiff training trip, and he'll be ready to go to Mohawk and start schooling. He looked very good the other day training. Really impressed with the way Warwi Yuri has come. I told you guys, he's starting to look like a horse, and he's starting to act like a horse too. He looks very good on the track. I'm not saying he's going to trot 51. The sky's the limit for this guy. He's got great breeding. great attitude. He's got a nice gait. He looked good the other day. What a Mission, another horse we've slated for that Nominers in One series. He's getting closer and looks good. And then I'm going to finish off today's list with our boy, Yo Mister. A lot of people, I know, I apologize, you guys. You're waiting for JK Victory, and I get it. But we want to have the proper JK Victory. I don't want to rush into, an ill-prepared second start. I don't want to have a repeat. Saw the first movie. Don't want to see the sequel if it looks like that. Needs to do better. He did look better this week. Harry and I, we talked about it with James and went over the information that Ron Burke had given me on the horse. Made a few shoeing adjustments. We'll see how he schools on Monday. He looks good on the track. We'll see how he schools on Monday. And then Yo Mister, it wasn't really a huge rush for Yo Mister because I want to make sure he fits that Nominers 6 series. So he will get a start next week. He may get a start the week after that. Also, I think they've pushed that series back a week, but that deadline of March the 12th should be set in stone, and I asked Stacy to look into that. I think it's the 12th. I want to make sure that we don't win on the 13th, and they're like, oh, no, it's a week later. No. The rules were March the 12th. I don't care when you move the series to. The rule was March 12th. So that's where we're at with Yo Mister. There's no rush with him. He'll be in to go, I believe, on Tuesday or Wednesday also. I think they were worried it might be a saltier crew, which right now. Let's get him raced, see what we got, and then focus on starting the real start time. Opening day for Yo Mister will be that series, that Nominers 6 series. So that's where we're at. 41 minutes, but I didn't waste any time. I didn't babble that much, other than the situation surrounding Walk on the Moon. But more of this will happen over the next 4 to 6 weeks. The horses that we reevaluate, and decide that they're not going to make the cut when they are going to be going. And maybe that's hard to understand because the horse won yesterday. But coming off a win and looking convincing, knowing what we know about him, and looking down the road, I think now is the time to sell Walk on the Moon for the reasons that I outlined. And I think the only arguments not to is simply out of a love for the horse. And I'm not going to begrudge anybody for loving him, but we're not going to sail the ship on hopes and dreams. And we've gone down that road. Not again. So, with that, I am done. 42 minutes later, Ava and I are going to have a little look at the restaurants down the road and see where we want to eat. Your hair feels like a horse's mane. How'd you get so much hair? Literally, it's like a ton of hair. You gotta get that thinned out or something. I'm going to have to go to a salon when we're down here. What do you think? Maybe we will. Anyway. Dance card's open. Everything's on the table for Ava and I. I got no racing through till next week. Just coming here with the hopes of training the babies tomorrow, training the 3-year-olds tomorrow. I'll give you an update. I always do. Weekend videos and the Saturday update from the horses training. But for now, we're singing in the rain. It's hot in here, right? We're singing in the rain. We're heading down the road. It's pouring rain, but you know what? It's better than snowing, and that's what we're about to get in Ontario. So for those of you in Ontario, turn on Netflix, stay at home, and let the snow fall. For those of you everywhere else, get an umbrella. For me, focused on getting some supper. Take care, everybody. Hope you had a great day.